Define for this committee what homicide means.
Oh, sure. So homicide is a legal term that refers to, it's essentially a blanket term for any form of unlawful killing. And an unlawful killing is causing death with a culpable mental state. Causing a death means substantially contributing to it or accelerating it. And a culpable mental state could be negligence, knowledge, recklessness.
So you wrote an article in 2023 entitled, quote, "Climate Homicide, Prosecuting Big Oil for Climate Deaths." In that article, you argue that oil and gas executives could be prosecuted, not just sued, but criminally prosecuted for homicide, for murder, based on climate change. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, I would be careful with the wording because murder, again, is a technical term. And definitely we're not arguing that they could be prosecuted for first-degree murder. That's killing with, intent.
But you want to put them in prison for homicide, lock them up, treat them as criminals, put them in, murderers get put, people who commit homicide get put in jails with violent criminals. And your position is this is a reasonable and rational thing that we should put the people leading the energy companies in America, producing 8.5 million jobs, we should arrest them and throw them in jail. Is that correct?
It could be the case that some executives should be prosecuted in that way. Of course, you can't put a corporation in jail, so there are other remedies in that situation.
But you can put human beings in jail, and presumably you'd put the corporate officers in jail.
Yes, you can.
You'd prosecute them for murder. So don't let there be any ambiguity. And by the way, Senator Whitehouse was really eager to make clear that you're the minority witness. You're the witness he wanted. He was eager to introduce you. I'm going to go on the record as saying that is a moonbeam wacky theory that you want to prosecute people creating jobs and producing energy for murder. Let me ask you, Mr. Arkush, how did you get to the Capitol today?
So here's what I want to tell you.
How did you get to the Capitol today?
I took an Uber.
You took an Uber.
Yep.
Now, was that in an automobile?
Yes.
Did that automobile have gasoline in it?
Yeah. Yes. This is very, very cute. I see where this is going.
So I'm glad you think it's cute. Under your theory, you emitted carbon emissions.
Yep.
Should you be arrested in this room right now and prosecuted for murder?
No.
Why?
That's not what the law holds.
So tell me why, because you're willing to say the guy who sold you the gasoline should be prosecuted for murder. You're the one that benefited from it. Couldn't you have ridden a bicycle or maybe like some fairy dust to get here?
The guy who sold the gas and 50 years ago knew that it was going to cause globally catastrophic damage that would cause problems for humanity.
But you have exquisite knowledge of this. You were saying you were an expert. So on mens rea,
I'm not done.
You have a level of culpability because you claim that the act of getting in that car was violence, it was murder, that you should be locked up. Why do you get to violate these principles in a way that you just want to lock up the person who sold you the gas but not the beneficiary of it?
That's your claim, not mine, because to be liable, there are a bunch of reasons, but one of them is you have to substantially contribute to the harm, to the death.
Okay,
and
so
how
many car rides is substantially? Is it one? Is it two? Is it 10? How many?
A single individual couldn't possibly contribute enough. The point is...
Well, what about if, say, you're a Democrat politician who
do you want me to answer
What about if you're a Democrat politician who flies private jets?
It would be helpful if you're asking the questions. Doesn't he get to answer them?
He gets to answer them in my time, just like he gets to answer them in your time when you are asking them.
Seems like I don't.
So what about Democrat politicians who fly private planes all the time? People like John Kerry, who say, for someone like me, a private jet is the only reasonable way to travel. John Kerry has the climate footprint of a small town in Tennessee. Would you prosecute John Kerry for murder?
So depending on how you calculate it, U.S. fossil fuel or the oil majors, private oil majors, are responsible for around half of global emissions.
My question was, would you prosecute John Kerry for murder?
Obviously not. No.
Okay, so Democrat politicians are exempted.
There is no individual...
Democrat activists are exempted.
I'm not going after people for carbon footprints. The whole thing is actually...
Well, why not, though? Under your principle, carbon is killing us. You claim it is homicide. By the way, this is a whack job theory. You teach in law school. If one of your law students wrote this on an exam, any law professor General Kobach, you were a law professor for years. If I wrote, it's homicide, lock him up, what grade would you give me and why?
It wouldn't be a good one. And part of the problem here is the same problem that the Baltimore judge, in rejecting all of the 8 claims brought by the city of Baltimore, pointed out with regard to public nuisance theory. And that is, it's not just the company that took the oil out of the ground. The individual consumer made a choice to use it as well. She said she dismissed all their claims, rejected their attempt to stretch public nuisance doctrine to cover, quote, the results of fossil fuel usage and gas emissions by third parties located all over the world. You can't put the blame either in a homicide case or in a public nuisance case just on the company that extracted the oil from the ground, because everybody's using it, and we're all involved in it, and that's why it doesn't fit homicide easily, and it doesn't fit public nuisance easily either.
With all respect, I don't think that Mr. Kobach is familiar with the relevant law in this case. A defendant in a homicide case can't defend by saying somebody used my products exactly as I intended them to while I was lying to them about
So you're saying we should prosecute you for murder?
No.
Because you drove an automobile here?
No. I'm saying...
Well, you said you couldn't use a defense. The fact that somebody else does it,
you
contributed. You're a murderer. Under your wacky theory, you're a murderer too.
I'm not sure I should be trying to speak. Can I finish a sentence?
For once, we agree. Senator Whitehouse.